And you've just heard Snakes and Ladders, which is on Awkward Family Portrait's new album, Dear Old West. And I'm delighted to be joined by Julen from the band now. Hello, Julen.
Hi, Rita. Thank you very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So tell us about Dear Old West.
So, Dear Old West is, I call it the second album that Awkward Family Portraits has released, but we did a sort of extended EP in the early incarnation of the band, which sometimes people pull me up for and say that I should include in the mix. But anyway, it's our third release as Awkward Family Portraits, and yeah, it's finally out in the world. It's exciting. But we've been setting up for quite a while because we made it over lockdown, which
Uh-huh.
symptomatically meant that there was tons of setbacks and uncontrollable delays, and but it was a bittersweet thing. It was a two-sided coin. It also meant that we had a lot of time to spend making it and putting time into it. I often when I think about when I weigh it up against the previous record, everything we've done up until now, except what we've done since, is the name of the record. In case you're not familiar with it, it seemed like an excellent deal. No, I stand by it. I still think it's a good idea. I think it's quite good. Um, even though Tim actually, sorry, this is a bit of a segue, but I remember when we released the record or we were doing hype, I remember Tim doing a Facebook post that like exclaimed like I had nothing to do with the name of this record. But yeah, Dear Old West is our most recent album, which we released recently on Holy Smokes Records, and it's the first sort of body of work that I think where we as a group it wasn't exclusive. A lot of the other records that we've made are predominantly songs that I'd penned and written, and then I'd bring it to them. But this record was much more involved because we had all this time to to work on it and think about it and just kind of sit back as well. I think the this record is much more a product of sitting and listening and just wanting to craft something that we're proud of and we think sounds good. We weren't really thinking about how we were going to replicate it or play it in the future. Or it was just like let's make this the way we want it to sound and worry about how we do it. Do it. Worry about the next step later, basically, which I think is resulted in a sort of nice, sort of eclectic, sort of scrapbooking of what the band's capable of.
It's got a more kind of country sound to it. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. I went down a massive Marty Robbins rabbit hole in the lead up or during the sort of creation of this record. That I think has had a definite impact on my personal life and the music. I It seems to be quite a trendy thing right now. The sort of Western thing seems to be making a comeback. I see it sort of even like appearing in other sort of bands, sort of aesthetics, and even if it's not exclusively the music, the sort of I think there's an immediate attractiveness of the sort of style and appearance. I was always a big fan of the Rio Bravo movie. I think there's a song that features in it, Cindy, which was one of the like first songs that was performed or used as Awkward Family Portraits repertoire. There's some fun recordings of that, probably from like 2016 or 15. I was playing that in people's front rooms or stuff like that.
And you were saying about not thinking about how you're going to replicate this on stage, but my first post-lockdown gig was your gig at McCool's, and you do it really, really well. It sounds fantastic live. The new songs sound fantastic live, and
Yeah,
that was the kind of album launch for it, wasn't it?
well, that was a sort of test drive. That was a sort
Okay.
of like what how it could maybe work, and it was also a sort of send off for Tim and Chris, who have um, who have since departed the band. But I mean, I don't know if I doubt it will be the last we see of them. I think they'll be harder to shake off than we. I was going to say than we want them to be. That's not what I mean. I mean the opposite of that. I think they'll. I hope they'll want to reappear more than I hope to have I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm fumbling now, but
I hope they'll be
what
back
I'm
at
trying to
some
say is
point.
I don't think it will be the last that we see of them. In what capacity that'll be, time will tell. But
It was a great night, I have to say. It was, as I said, it was the first gig I went back to, and it was an actual packed room, really packed room. And it was a weird thing for all sorts of reasons. How was it for you to be back playing live again after all the time?
yeah, for sure. I mean, it was like a blur. In retrospectively, it feels like a dream. Like someone reminded me the other day of Tim's crowd surf.
I was really close to him. I thought, well, I'm not going to help support him,
Yeah,
but he was having the time of his life, wasn't he?
rightly so. Like I'm still in awe of it, and yeah, it was like a dreamlike experience to play. Like for that to be our first kind of show back, and playing to a full room of people that were all there to see it and have a good time. It sort of yeah immediately sort of gave me the adrenaline injection and the reminder of why I do or why we do what we do. It's just it's nice to know that there's an audience and yeah there's a sort of the energy and the time that we put into crafting this music is reciprocated well and enjoyed by other people.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because it was a night of folks singing along, dancing. It was just a real kind of celebration. It it felt like it was the first time everyone in that room had been out, which it probably was.
Yeah, in a lot of regards it probably was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think I don't even think I'd been going out much. I think I'd been doing a lot of activism to make sure that I didn't catch COVID before the show, so I was
Yeah.
probably a complete hermit until we were uh, going to that room. But yeah, I've got a lot of fond memories of that gig. In particular, I think Tim's crowd surfing takes the the medal. I think that's something I don't even think Tim knew he was going to do it.
We should say that he was not just crowd surfing, he continued to play the guitar as he
Yeah,
was
for
doing it.
sure. Yeah, credit where credit's due. Yeah, I remember it because we were coming towards the end of the song, and then next thing I think I maybe turned around because I seem to remember that I was looking off the other way at someone else, and then I turned around and suddenly Tim was sailing this sea of people. And then we're like, oh, we'll probably need to play the song a bit longer then to accommodate this crowd surfing. I think there's videos on people's phone and you do hear the music sort of like dip, and then we're like, oh, we need to bring it back up again.
And you've just come back from a tour down in England. How is that?
Good, yeah. So we're amidst the album promo tour, which has been great. Yeah, it's been really nice playing to new people, making some new friends, and seeing people that we don't get to see a lot down that neck of the woods. It's been fun. Quite tiring and taxing, sort of. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. It's nice being able to just go out and play music to people and people coming out to you playing music. I suppose it's a sort of it's a luxury for sure, and I yeah I can't we're halfway through the tour now. We've done all
Yeah.
the English dates. We've still got the Scottish dates, but that's a little bit. We can sleep in our own beds at night when we don't have to commit ourselves to sofas and floors and whatnot.
The
Um,
rock and roll lifestyle.
that's it for sure, and that's all part of the experience as well. So,
And do you know what the Scottish dates are going to be, or are they still to be decided?
no, yeah, we're off. So we're playing at Inverness on the. Let me. I'm really bad with numbers, so I know if I don't get some sort of visual reference, I will just make stuff up, which doesn't help anyone. On the 20th, we're playing in Inverness at Eden Court Theatre.
Mhm.
Then we've got our hometown show on the a week on Saturday, the 20. No, sorry, a week on Friday on the 22nd. We're playing at Stereo. We got some nice little things lined up for that, some treats and surprises. So that should be a good show. If you're free, you should come along, Ali.
Absolutely.
And then on the 23rd, we're playing St Andrews. so that's the day after. So we'll need to make sure we behave ourselves post the hometown show.
And I've never asked you this, but how did Awkward Family Portraits come about? How did you get together?
So this is a good question. This is the sort of question that I usually like to usher to the other guys, but I guess I'm going to have to handle this one myself. Usually because I just like to hear what their perceptions.
How do you remember it?
Because everyone remembers it differently and thinks of their involvement appearing in different capacities, and I've got a terrible memory, so they could easily convince me that I'm wrong or that. uh, I was in a band called Angus and the Wine Bottles. That was my first band when I was whilst I was at art school, I think, or yeah, during my time at art school, or I started before I went to art school in Dundee. And that was good. That basically gave me insight and gave me sort of the taste of that sort of lifestyle and made me realize that I could make music independently. But prior to that, I'd been in a lot of like vocal ensembles, and I'd sung in choirs and stuff growing up. But I never got to sort of make music totally off my own back, like make the tunes, play them with people, and sort of have full kind of creative control over my output, which is now it's that was a sort of catalyst for me getting into playing in bands and doing this sort of thing. And then Angus and the Wine Bottles had to disband because a lot of the band went to university and they were all suddenly studying in different ends of the country. So
Right.
that sort of left me in this sort of place where I was like, well, I want to keep playing in a band. I want to keep doing this. So I ended up I deferred from university at the time, which then became me not going back. But I then started Angus and the Wine Bottles with my friend Julian Pombo, who was the original bass player, Millie Kidd, who played drums in Angus and the Wine Bottles. She then went on to do the Ninth Wave, and I think she's doing her own stuff now. And Barnaby, my friend Barnaby Bridges, he's the person that got me into music, or at least like playing in street performance and stuff. He was a real enabler for me. And we were this sort of started off as a sort of rough and ready acoustic 4-piece, and then it just kind of it grew arms and legs from there. I mean, I feel like it's still sort of still is that way. I think we were maybe sort of aiding its limbs more. Now it sort of seems to do some of the work itself, which is nice. It sort of speaks for itself, but it's ever changing. It's sort of always growing, and I think that's just the kind of nature of the beast. I was trying to work out this morning how long it's been going, and I think it's like that's the original incarnation started in 2016, so that's probably a good 5 or 6 years that the band's been spinning in some capacity.
And as you were saying, it's changed again. You're now a 3-piece. And do you think that will change the kind of music you make? Because is it kind of is the music almost decided by the form that you're in at the time?
Yeah, I think prior to us doing this tour, I had a lot more sort of I was a lot more skeptical of how it was going to handle or like be the stuff the material was going to be sort of reformatted for a 3-piece. But I've actually it's been great. It works really well. I'm having to it's pushed my playing for sure. I'm having to do tons of compensating now that I'm the only guitarist and I don't have a Timmy Allen to hide behind. But it's been again it's a sort of two-sided coin. It's a shame that things have transpired the way that they have, and that we aren't the band that made the record for promoting it. But at the same time, it's exciting. It's something different and something new, and people seem to be receiving it well, which is nice. It would be a shame if it didn't work. I think it would sort of force our hand to rethink things, but for so far so good.
Well, I can promise everyone listening that it is a cracking night out seeing Awkward Family Portraits live. So if you can get along to Inverness, Glasgow, or St Andrews. Julen, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really do appreciate it.
No, not at all. Thank you.
And this is Awkward Family Portraits, and don't know where it goes.